Jesus, my ready.
Welcome to the LFG 1904 show. I'm Graf.
Welcome back, guys. I'm Dustin.
And I'm Rafa.
Today we are joined by
Jenny from Jenny Sober Lifestyle.
Woo! All
Let's
the way
go.
down from Orange County.
That's right, Huntington Beach.
Shout it out.
Yep.
Be proud.
Yep.
That's righteous.
Very proud.
Thank you so much for taking the trip down here. It means a
Of
lot.
course, yeah, no problem.
So we generally like to kick it off with, where are you from?
Well, I'm from Orange County. Well, I'm not from Orange County. I'm originally from Canada.
Oh,
I
let's
live in
go.
Orange County.
Got
Yeah.
a lot of Canadian
Where,
friends.
though?
Where in Canada?
Uh-huh.
Vancouver.
Okay.
Ever been there?
A bunch of times.
Really?
Yep. I'm a traveling DJ, so I've been,
Ah.
just this year, I've been there like 6 times.
Really?
Love Vancouver.
It's beautiful, huh?
It's amazing.
I never.
Is it, though?
It
Okay.
really is. It really is.
It's great.
Uh-oh, here it comes. Well, what
Yeah,
is it?
Downtown. So
Okay.
generally where I'm staying, it's downtown, and it is of the West Coast. Vancouver is by far and large, like, it is on and cracking in the streets.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty gnarly.
It's gotten really bad, like along Hastings.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just kind of gotten taken over by drugs for sure.
That's the only reason why I know, because he said, he's like, bro, it was like San Francisco on steroids.
Yeah, there's this one strip, and it's really bad.
So one of the venues I go to is in Chinatown. and
Okay, yeah,
It's just active. Like,
yeah.
it's literally like being in San Francisco. It's like being in the Tenderloin, but a little bit more safe, a little bit more Canadian. You know, I don't feel like I might not get stabbed as often in
No.
Vancouver as I would in the Tenderloin.
Yeah. It's just crazy. It's getting like that everywhere. You know what I mean? It seems like every town now has that spot. So,
Yeah. Are you from Vancouver Island or are you from Vancouver?
No, Vancouver.
Okay, tight.
but I was born on Victoria Day, so my middle name's Victoria.
Jenny Victoria.
There we go.
Perfect.
Damn,
Jenny
airing out.
Victoria Leone. Actually, Jennifer Victoria Leone. But only Jennifer if you're mad at me. Just
First off.
first off, that's it. Yeah.
Right, 1000% I get
Don't
that.
call me Jennifer.
Don't call me Jennifer.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
So you obviously have an affinity to Orange County. Did you, from a very young age, move from Vancouver down?
So I moved at 19 with a suitcase to live the Hollywood dream.
Oh boy.
And so it's so funny because when people think of Hollywood that aren't from here, they think it's like this magical glitz and glam, just beautiful area, right? And that's unfortunately not what it's like. So, but I had that in my head. I'm like, I'm going to move to Hollywood. So I moved to Hollywood Boulevard. Literally.
Fuck yes.
Yes. And then I moved just little by little, more and more south. I moved every year for 15 years straight
Wow.
in my addiction. So started in Hollywood, Santa Monica, Venice, Redondo Beach, and then just kept coming and
You
coming.
made the tour.
Yeah,
I made
she
sure.
kept going south. She even got so south it was San Marcos, she told me. On
I
the way
did,
here.
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, you're
Uh-huh.
getting it.
And then she
I,
said,
yeah.
reset, I'm out this
Yeah,
bitch.
she
That's,
said,
that's
San
exactly
Marcos.
what happened.
Hold on a minute. Time
Yeah.
out.
That's as bad as I get. All right.
Back to Orange County.
I
yeah.
had the same experience when I first moved to California. I moved to Moreno Valley. That's where my
Okay.
ex-wife was from.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I made it.
Yeah.
I'm from the East Coast. I was like, here we are, California, baby.
Burrito
Moreno Valley.
Yeah. Moval. God, it was rough. And then I got like beat up and robbed for my skateboard on the skating
shit.
home. I was like, this isn't what they promised me it was.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Straight Virginia boy. Hey, come here, cracker.
No, literally, they fucking. I'm skating home, and Josh remembers this because we worked together when it happened. The car pulls around the corner, and I see 2 dudes. I was like, that was weird. And then 2 dudes come like walking up the sidewalk past me. I'm skating by. One dude goes past me, and another dude is in front of me. He's looking like ready to do it. Pulls a bat out of his pants, and then I get hit in the side of the face, knocked to the ground,
Damn.
drop my skateboard, get into the street, square up. They look at each other, look at the skateboard, grab the skateboard, and dip. And I was like,
Wow.
what the fuck? I had a black eye for 2 weeks.
Aw,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah, it is not what and then my first time in Hollywood was like near the boulevard. I remember like turning this corner off Hollywood Boulevard, and this dude is just smoking meth
Oh,
right
yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the valley, not much better.
No, not really.
No.
Damn, I landed from New York straight to Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
Like a refugee.
And I was like,
Like
and I
a
was like,
refugee.
and I was like, this is great. Y'all got palm trees.
Del Taco, what's that?
Del Taco.
Yeah, I thought
That's
we
funny.
had made it. So what was home life like?
In Vancouver?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I had the quote unquote typical like mom and dad, right? From the outside looking in, but on the inside, it wasn't a healthy situation for me. And that's where everything kind of started, was in my childhood, which led me down that road. My dad, just to give you an idea, my dad was 30, Italian, arranged marriage to another Italian woman. My mom was 14, hitchhiking, and my dad picked her up.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's how that whole thing started. And so yeah, they ended up getting married. He eventually left his wife and got married to my mom. And then he was like the typical provider, you know what I mean? Not like a loving father. And, my mom, she was a loving mom, did the best she could. It's just so funny because when we're young, we look at our parents and we think that they're supposed to be these perfect creatures, right? And really when we get older, and especially when we get into recovery and we do the work, we realize that they were just doing the best they could with what they were given. And, it's up to us to like break that cycle, which thankfully I've done, and we'll get into that later. But, I was always like, why can't you be more like this, or wanting my dad's attention and different things, and just realizing it was his upbringing and that's just how he showed love, was to go to work and earn money. But, he was always cheating on my mom and doing that whole thing. But I had a lot of trauma in my childhood. I was sexually molested by a family member from the age of 3 to 12. So like that was my whole childhood.
I was gonna say that's like your whole.
That's my whole childhood. Yeah. And so it was a very interesting, uncomfortable, awkward, confusing time of life for me. There was like this part of and I kept it a secret because I was told that if I said anything that bad things were going to happen.
And
so
it was a family member?
It was a family member. Yeah. And a family member that lived under the same roof. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, sure.
But it was like a constant thing. And so that's like life as I knew it. But then, on the other side, I had this other life where I went to school and I played sports and I had lots of friends and I lived in a beautiful home and had, the green belt right behind me and the river and nature, and we'd play out there all the time. So it was very strange, my sense of reality. And so, I grew up never feeling safe, never really knowing what love was, the people closest to me, and this was happening, and what is love? Who should I trust? How do I feel safe? Very alone in that space. And when I look back, like I can see the ism at a very, very young age, the things that I was doing. I would take like a whole bottle of chewable vitamin C. You know what I mean? Like go into the bathroom, lock the door, get into the shower, close the curtain, and just be like eating them. And then I would like save up my allowance for the week and run up to the corner store and buy like a whole container of candies, like 500 in this like container, right? And I would eat them all, like really, you know what I mean? So I had like these behaviors and ways that I was trying to like self-soothe, and, numb myself out essentially. And so when I finally told the truth, I wasn't believed initially. And so I had to go to the police. I went to the police with a friend at 13 and told them what was happening. That person got arrested. And, then I went through the whole thing, like going to doctors and looking into that and, what was the extent of what was going on with me. And then, getting put into therapy and different things like that. And at that age, looking back, it's like, as a kid, you don't want to go to therapy. I'm like, I swear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Fuck, shit. Okay,
Yes,
good.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't fucking need therapy. I don't need this. I don't need that. And no one understands me, and that was my mentality for a long time. You guys don't get it. You don't know what I went through. I don't want you people around me. Just leave me alone. And I became very rebellious at a very, very young age. So essentially from like 12, 13 years old and on, I was, using drugs, out there, trying to just numb myself from everything that was going on. And obviously not realizing at that age that when you're numbing yourself, it's not just the bad. I feel like these keep slipping. It's not just the bad that you're numbing out all the good too. So really I became like emotionless essentially, and started off with like the typical party drugs. I was a huge raver back then in Vancouver. It was like the rave scene was huge. Yeah, that whole underground scene. So I was doing like massive amounts of ecstasy, any drug I could get my hands on, drinking, just anything. I was bouncing around, going to alternative schools, different things like that. And just really living in that victim mentality, and was like starting to get dangerously comfortable in that victim mentality. You know, like I was comfortable like sitting in my shit because that's what I knew, and I was comfortable being angry and just rebellious. And so, you know, between that, I was still trying to, you know, go to school, do well for myself. So I started modeling and acting back when I was a teenager, back there, landed some shows, did some modeling stuff.
What age?
Probably from like 14 on.
Okay,
That's
so
when I started.
after all the
Yeah.
damage that was already done.
Yeah, exactly. I started doing that. And that's what eventually led me to the States. So at like 18 years old, this person got off probation and essentially started to try to come back around. And I was like, fuck this.
Out.
I'm out.
Yeah.
And so I booked a TV show in LA and had a manager. And so I didn't know anybody else. Oh, and one other person that I was going to marry to get a green card.
Nice.
So
The Canadian way. I love
the
it.
Canadian way, right? And I had a work permit, but I just, you know, just for extra protection, I was going to do these things. And it's just so crazy because I was so impulsive and had no logic back then. Like here I am at 19, not knowing anybody,
Yeah.
moving to the States.
I got it, guys.
I got this shit. Like I'm good. You
to
know?
me, it makes logical sense. You're good.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
literally hearing this. Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me. Why wouldn't I?
Mark that check. We're good.
And so, yeah, I came out with a suitcase and $3,000 and that was it, and started to live my life out here. And yeah, so I married an American. I was 19. He was 42 at the time.
My kind of gal.
Yep. So that's what I did. And that went downhill almost immediately. Like as soon as there was that marriage certificate, it was like,
Yeah, you're like, thanks a lot, pal. I'm out.
well, and he was like, I own you kind of
Right.
thing. So
I'll air you out.
so, you know, what started happening with like my past is that number one, I was over sexualized and I was, you know, putting myself in bad situations with bad people. People don't like to use the word toxic people and whatever, but I was putting myself in unhealthy situations with people. And so, you know, he was one of those unhealthy people that I was drawn to. And so here I am, I'm out here. I don't really know anybody. You know, at this point, like I'm taking pharmaceuticals, doctor prescribed. So that's like how my whole thing started. Like the other stuff was like party. This, I don't know why this keeps falling off my head.
Your hair's clean.
Maybe I need to like put it tighter or something. Okay, maybe if it's more forward. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Okay.
I couldn't tell.
It was like all the way back here.
I know what
could
you're
feel
talking
it
about,
like
when you feel like it's
slipping back.
falling off.
It was slipping all the way back. But yeah, like my drug use before then, like even though it was consistent, it was like party drugs and things like that. And then I got out here and started getting prescribed by a doctor. So that's like how my whole like story really starts, like down that rabbit hole. So doctor prescribed Xanax, Adderall, and Norcos.
Nice.
Wow.
What
That-
a combination.
That
don't
was
know.
my cocktail.
That's
I don't
a
know what the hell
fucking
you went to
party.
the doctor for, but
Well,
That's a party.
it progressed. You know what I mean? Like I was able to get Xanax because I had, you know, anxiety,
Right,
and then
right.
I was diagnosed with ADHD. And of course, like as addicts, alcoholics, we know how to manipulate and
course.
you know use the system. It's like, oh, if I could get that, I could get this.
Reach for the stars, or reach for the stars. You land on the moon.
Exactly, right? And so that was my cocktail.
Early 2000s.
just I sprained my
Yeah,
ankle.
early
on some
2000s.
It was really just easily. You can
Oh
go
my
to a
God.
doctor and be like, yeah, okay. Here you
My
go.
elbow
Yeah,
it hurts.
that's exactly what was
Yeah,
happening. And
was
so
wild.
I was able to maintain that for a while. And like I didn't hang out with drug addicts. Like I was never that person. And so I had no idea like where my drug use was going to lead to. I had no idea what would happen if I tried to stop using. I had no idea that I was like building up a tolerance. Like I'm just living my life.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I started going down that path. So I ended up escaping this person that I had married. I had flown my mom down from Vancouver and lived in and out of hotels for like 6 months, trying not to have a trail where he'd be able to find me. I had to get a restraining order against him, like a 5-year permanent restraining order against this person, because it was actually that gnarly.
Yeah.
Like he was
Sounds
fucking
pretty
psycho.
fucking toxic.
It was
Let's call it what it
it
fucking
was
is.
it was he was he was a very unhealthy human being for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Super toxic.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's funny because I had somebody on my podcast, a couple people that are like doctors, right? And
Yeah.
and they're like, no, there is no such thing as toxic. It's like behaviors and this, that, the other thing. But fuck it, he was toxic.
Clearly,
So-
they don't have a baby mama.
So
They don't know.
I was about to say. My head went straight there. This motherfuckers ain't got no baby mama. Toxic bitch 101.
yeah, so I ended up getting out of that situation.
Did you bail mom out of the situation? Bail mom from dad too, or was she just coming to support you?
No, she was just coming to support me.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Real quick, I had
Yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
a question about that because your dad found your mom hitchhiking.
yep.
So what was she running from?
She wasn't running. It was just back then you hitchhiked.
Really?
Like if you think
Just-
about it, like
was she in Canada? Was he in Canada?
Mhm.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, back in the day, hitchhiking.
back in the day,
I get that too, but it was like I thought it was like, well, what is she running from, or what is she doing at 14?
yeah, no, she was just hitchhiking with her sister. Just going home. I mean, she was born in 54, so it was like the late 60s. Like
Jack Kerouac.
like everyone was doing it.
Right.
What
Everyone was doing it.
What TV show were you on?
Well, I was on a couple different ones. But the one I came out here for was called Battle Dome. And so it was a spin-off from American Gladiator.
Yeah.
You guys remember American Gladiator?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay,
Laser.
so yeah. So there was Battle Dome. It only lasted 2 seasons
Right.
with Sony because people were getting like gnarly injured. It
Because
was
they just like stepped it up from like American Gladiator.
they
right?
stepped it up. Yeah, like it was
Yeah.
insane.
Wow.
And I ended up meeting my second husband on the show. He was one of
Alright.
the warriors.
Nice.
Were you one of the athletes as well?
gladiators. No, I wasn't I wasn't an athlete. I wasn't
Okay.
a gladiator or anything like that, but I would come out with one of them. So that's what I did on that show. But yeah, so I met him, we'll just use the word toxic person,
Nice.
right? That
Yeah,
I was here by myself, right? And so he's this like 6'5", 300-pound gnarly dude, and I'm like fucking perfect.
Yes.
Like this
You
is
have a type.
this is what I need. Like he
my
will
protector.
keep my protector.
Yeah.
Like he'll keep me safe. I'm
Right.
19 years old. I don't know anybody. Like I need this person in my life.
Oh.
So yeah, so he was in my life, and I, at this point, I'm working in the industry. I've got an agent, a manager. I'm going out on auditions every day. I landed quite a few different TV shows, modeling gigs, some movies, and for me, like with being over sexualized and just like chasing that lifestyle, I was willing to do whatever I could do to get there fast. And I was so deluded from the drug use. Like my sense of reality was so skewed on what normal looks like
Sure.
and the people that I was hanging out with. So I ended up going more of the adult route. And so it started with like booking a ton of magazines. Like it's one thing that I've kept is the magazines, just because I'm like, why not? Like they don't really make them anymore. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I've probably been on 30, 40, 50 adult magazine covers, Penthouse Pet, I mean, all of them that you could imagine. And so I got pretty famous in that industry. And it was like back in the day when it was like really bumping and not like it is now where it's super oversaturated. And so I kind of got lost in that industry, and
And that's very LA too. Like
super LA.
without the adult industry alone, Los Angeles is just a place where like things become different.
Yeah.
Reality is not as it seems.
Yeah.
It's a fucking crazy place.
It's crazy. And so I got really involved in that industry. So, I was doing magazine work, print work, like fitness stuff, bikini stuff, probably for like 3-4 years. And then one day I got a call from Jenna Jameson, and she was like, hey, I want you to come up to my house. I want to talk to you. And I was like, all right, cool. So I went out and met with her. And at this point, she had started a company under Playboy called Club Jenna. And it was all like contract stars that she was forming this company. And she was like, hey, I'd love to contract you. And I said, well, I've got standards and morals. Like, I'm not going to do like what you typically would do as a contract star. I'm not going to do like boy-girl stuff. And, I want to keep it like, somewhat
It's solo,
respectable.
dog. Yeah.
And so Well, I got contracted as a girl contract star. So, you know, at the time I was like the top girl contract star in the industry. I went by an AKA, so that went on. So for 10 years, I was known as an AKA. And no one knew me. I was this other person. So here, you know, you start with like my childhood, no real sense of who I am, you know, living this like secret, isolated, and not understanding what's going on, being over sexualized, then into this. Here I am again in this lifestyle where nobody knows me, and here I am being over sexualized. Like they say like 90%, which is probably even higher. The research shows like 90% of anybody that gets involved in anything adult has been molested. Because why would you do it? You know, and then back then, I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like, I have no problem taking off my clothes. And, like, I make so much money. Like, this is great. Like, it's so easy for me. Not realizing that that actually showed how, like, sick I was. You know, that it was that comfortable for me to just take off my clothes. You know, it was because I just had a lot of, like, unhealed trauma. And so, yeah, that's the lifestyle I lived. And nobody knew that I had an addiction problem. Like, you can see in some of my pictures and some of my videos, like my eyes, you can tell, like I'm barred out, I'm dead inside.
I have no pupils.
No pupils, right?
Sure.
But like no one really knew, and if they did, they didn't give a fuck.
No way, you're the fucking working girl. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
You
like,
have got to be on set on time. Just here you go. Here's more. They probably give you pills.
They never gave me pills, but you know they supported a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, and so I had nice things. Like I bought a house in Vancouver, had a house here, had a brand new BMW, and like here I am in my early 20s. Like anything I could possibly want, I had. And I'm just running around.
For real? Off of porn?
Damn, it's not porn.
Was it's magazines.
Well, I mean, call it adult entertainment, right? Like whatever. It is what it is. And it's funny because for a long time I wouldn't talk about it. And then I got to the point where I'm like, fuck it. Like this is part of my story and it's going to help other people, which I've had people reach out because getting out of that industry is really hard too.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
like
the money, dude. Like
yeah, it's almost like,
right?
yeah, like we talk about this sex trafficking, like it's essentially that glamorized, you know, in a lot of ways. And people would argue that with me, but whatever, I lived it, you know, and I saw the people come in and out of that industry. And so I know what it's all about. And so like here I am, you know, up in LA, traveling the country with Jenna, with this squad of people, you know, and like just getting set up with, you know, endless celebrities, rock stars. Like that was my life, you know, and like going out and doing signings and not getting out of bed unless I was, you know, making this amount of money for the day. And it was crazy.
Was it still the party at this point? It hadn't become not the party?
It was still the party.
Yeah, so it wasn't so bad at this point.
It was bad. It started to get bad, but again, nobody knew.
Right.
But it got bad for me personally.
Yeah.
Where it came to a point where one day I remember, and I'll never forget, I just thought, I'm going to stop taking these pills. Like, I'm taking way too many. Because at this point, which is just crazy to say this, the amount I was taking, I had my doctor that I would see, and then I had one outside person that I would pick up from once a week. And I was taking 40 Norco-10s a day. I was taking 17 milligrams of Xanax a day.
God damn.
That's how much my and like functioning.
Yeah.
And like a massive amount of Adderall. And so one day I was like, I just need to stop taking all this shit. It's like costing me so much money.
Right.
And like I'm spending thousands a month on this person getting this stuff. And I mean, I just need to stop. And I tried to stop and almost fucking died.
For sure.
Like literally within like 4 hours, almost died.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you go to
Like,
the hospital?
in the hospital,
Yeah.
like seizure, like I was like almost dead, you know?
This is the
And I was,
Xanax.
the
Yeah.
Xanax.
Yeah.
For reference, Xanax bars are 2 milligrams.
Yeah.
So 17 is 9.
Yeah.
You were taking 9 Xanny bars a day. That's fucking insane.
Yeah. And functioning.
And doing stuff. Yeah.
And,
And
like,
not being like drooling
Working
on the
and
couch.
driving. And but it started at like 0.5,
Right.
you know?
It
Just a
always
little clip.
does. It always does.
And so then I realized, and so of course my addict mind, I was like, oh, well, fuck, I guess I just have to keep taking this stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
This is life.
Well, I don't want to feel like this again.
no, I don't. Exactly.
Yeah,
and,
right.
and so I literally like had this conversation with myself. I was living in Redondo. I was sitting in my house and I was like, okay, I'm just going to take this stuff, I guess, for the rest of my life. Like, that's just what it's going to be. I can never feel like that again. And so I just continued. And continued in that industry for several years and put myself, now I look at it like before I used to think like, God, I have the worst luck. Like I keep getting put in these like horrible situations and these horrible things keep happening to me in this industry. Like, what the fuck? I have the worst. What's going on, God? Like, what the hell? Now I can see like my part in it, right? And like that I would, not that I deserved any of it that happened, don't get me wrong, but I put myself in really bad situations. And so the final one for me was AVN. It's an adult, it's the award show they do in Vegas every year. And I had gone out to that and I was up for an award and I was partying and I was with one of the executives for Playboy. And we always each had a bodyguard assigned to us. And so I had a bodyguard that was with me everywhere I went, no matter what, a driver, everything. And so this guy was like, well, let's just go up to my suite and we'll call you your car. And so I didn't even think twice about it. So I went up there with my bodyguard and was like, okay, cool. I'm going to use the bathroom. And they're like, okay, we'll call you your car. I get out of the bathroom. My bodyguard's gone and it's just the executive. And he raped me and like held me hostage there for hours. It was way more than a typical rape, which sounds horrible enough as it is, but he like tortured me. Like this guy is completely evil. I had a lot of different injuries and I honestly thought I was going to die. Like this guy like tied me up, had a knife, told me he was going to cut me from the inside out.
Jesus fuck.
While raping me. Like it was like so sinister. And the craziest thing is he had done this, come to find out, to several girls. And because these girls were in the adult industry and because they too had been on drugs and stuff, they were just
Ignored.
And shooed away.
Yeah.
So I finally got out of there and went back to where I was staying at my hotel. I couldn't talk because he had shoved my high heel so far down into my it was all scratched. So I had no voice for like several days. Went to the ER, did a rape kit, did all of that. He never got arrested. Of course, it came back on the talks that I had a bunch of drugs in my system, and here I am in this industry. And he never got arrested. He just said that I liked rough sex and that it was mutual. To where then I was like, fuck this. So I quit the industry at that point, and they still fulfilled my contract. How nice of them, right? To keep paying me for several years. But
that's that hush money.
That's a hush money. But I was like, fuck this. So I went and you guys know who Gloria Allred is, very famous attorney. I went down to her office and I was like, I want to sue Playboy. I'm suing Playboy. And so we sued Playboy. And it went on. It got drawn on for like 2 years. And as you can imagine, they just dug up anything they could on me, stuff from my past, stuff from my marriage to, the first one for the green card. Like they dug up everything they could possibly dig up. And I'm not sober, right? And so it finally got to the point where I was like, I'm going to fucking lose my mind if I keep doing this. Like this is going to kill me. I'm going to end up killing myself or something over this. So I walked away from the lawsuit. Walked away. Ended up walking away like after 2 years because I just couldn't deal.
Well, were you just going to court and they're just airing out all your dirty laundry?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was,
or was it like on a public level?
I mean, both.
Oh, fuck.
It was
I'm surprised
both.
because Gloria's fucking ruthless.
Well, she was mine, and then she passed it. So this is where it gets even crazier. So she was mine initially, and then she passed me off to one of her associates because I didn't evoke enough emotion. So still to this day, I have a very hard time showing raw emotions. I don't cry. Like it's still something I'm working on, and I'm 7 years sober. Just because of my life and my childhood and like it is like extremely hard for me to cry. And so because I couldn't evoke that emotion, she was like, you're not believable. Like, I believe you, but to the public, like, you're not believable. You need to like cry and evoke this. And I'm like, fuck, you know, like I am who I am. Like, I don't know what to say. So she ended up passing me on to one of her associates. But in any case, I walked away from that and was so angry, you know. So here I am, got out of that industry, ended up getting pregnant with the boyfriend, right? That was from the show. We got married.
Oh, wow. You guys were together for a minute then.
Got married. I was married to him for 13 years. I've known him for over 20. So, yeah, it's been a long time. We're divorced now, but we had a son together. And after I had my son, I was like, this is it. Like, I'm not going to do any more modeling, acting. You know, I'm good. And it's funny, not funny. You know, we think that our children will keep us sober. They don't. We think that they'll keep us out of certain situations. They don't. You know, we have to want to do it for ourselves. And so I dabbled a little bit after he was born, just in some photo shoots. And that's when I started getting heavily tattooed, because all the time when I was under contract, it was like no tattoos, this, that, the other thing. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to get blasted, and that will keep me away from working, right?
And then the industry shifted.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah.
It did shift,
Yeah.
right?
Shift like a motherfucker.
It did, right? But I didn't go back into adults. I did like some layouts, and that was about it. And so I did end up stopping, but it wasn't until like I got sober, truly sober. I tried to get sober once when my son was 8 months old. I went up to Cliffside, Malibu.
Beautiful place.
Cash pay, bougie, and left on my 28th day with a prescription for Adderall.
Oh, beautiful.
And right back off.
Yeah.
Running and gunning.
Right.
So I was taking Adderall, Xanax, and then I had found an outside doctor to get on Suboxone. So that's what I started taking. So, and that doctor, this is just so crazy, these doctors. Yes, there's good doctors out there, but these ones, the ones that I would find.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was all cash pay, right? Like, and this was in Newport Beach. Like,
Not the ones with a Bentley payment.
Yeah, right? Like,
Not them guys.
Not them guys.
Yeah, really.
Oh, you got a sprained ankle? Here's some oxy.
I'm sorry, hold on. Real quick. I've
Yeah.
noticed you have anarchy symbol and then you have a Buddhism symbol. Does it also say 8-ball? No.
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah. This.
Oh, it's a date. It's your date. Okay.
No, this is my son's birthday.
Got it.
This was when I first tried to get sober. I'll never tattoo a sobriety date on me again. But
Smart.
yeah. But no, this was like a typical day for me. I was in a blackout, and I guess from what I was told, I wanted to have good and bad because that was me. Anarchy, peace, anarchy, peace.
Yeah.
And so I woke up the next morning and literally thought like someone had drawn on my hands, because when it was fresh, because these are old, it looked like a permanent marker. I was like, holy fuck, someone drew on me. And then I realized they were like actual tattoos.
This isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, so I started seeing this doctor, and they were giving me 24 milligrams a day of Suboxone. Fucking nuts.
Yeah, staying ready.
Holy shit. And
That's a
then, and prescribing me Adderall.
Oh,
So you're getting both.
That's speedballs, man.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go.
So yeah, I
go.
was stoked on that. And then that doctor also never told me that if I try to stop taking those,
You'll get sick.
I'll get sick.
Sicker.
Sicker. Exactly.
Suboxone. Fuck Suboxone.
Fuck Suboxone.
The devil.
Yeah, and people don't know. Like,
Ugh.
it's horrible. So I was on that for a year, and then I stopped, and sure enough, I was right back on the opiates after that, because I was like, fuck this. So I got back on the opiates. Yeah.
You were the only other person. We had another guest, one of our very close friends, Tiffany, and her mom, they're also from LA, from that area. All they did was buprenorphine.
Oh.
And they would go to Mexico, and they would get it in vials and just muscle it.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Savage.
Yeah.
She's a warrior, for sure.
Yeah, shit's crazy. And so, yeah, and it wasn't until I finally decided to get sober that, you know, I changed my life. But what led up to that is the last like 3 years of me using, I had this great idea, as we always do, that I would just start drinking. And if I started drinking, then, because drinking was never my thing, I'm like, I'm just going to start drinking and I'll be able to get off all the pills and then I'll just get off the drinking.
We can still black out. It'll be good.
Yeah.
Right. And well, that's what started to happen. So I got really, really sloppy. So here I am, like super sloppy. And then the Adderall was getting to the point where I was going into like a psychosis because I would take so much and then I would stay up for like a week. And so I went on like 3 or 4 51-50 holds and gnarly ones. Like I remember one, to just give you an example. I'm living in Newport Beach and my mom's in town. And here I go into a psychosis. At this point, I'm anorexic skinny. I've lost my gallbladder. And and my mom's in town. She doesn't really understand like what's going on with me. And I always had a gun. So here I've got this, 9mm gun, and I start like flailing that around that I'm this gangbanger and there's people outside the house and they're going to come in and get us and we need to lay on the floor. And I had her laying on the floor for hours. My poor mom didn't know what to do. Telling her like I could see it, like the little like the little light, the what do you call it? The target, the
beam?
The beam. And it was like tracing our bodies and it was crazy. And I was like trying to jump out the window and do all these things. And so it always ended up whoever it was had to call 911 and I'd get like strapped down and taken on a 51-50 hold.
Just going nuts.
Nuts.
Let's talk about Jenny staying strapped up.
Yeah.
Jenny from the block over here. Good God.
It wasn't until
she's like, I still do fuck around.
Yeah, I legally can't have a gun now, but like thankfully I stayed out of jail, but I think I'm coming up on it because on the 51-50 holds, I had one not a hold, but they took me to the hospital. I got released. And I'll tell you guys about that in sobriety, but I'm coming up on being able to have a gun again.
We have a favorite saying on this show. It's allegedly you don't have another gun.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
That's right. But I just never felt safe in my life, for good reasons.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, you've had some trauma.
Yeah.
I would say.
And so I like always had a gun. I always like had people around me that I knew could protect me and yeah. And so
smoke it to the filter.
Yep.
Love it.
And so I would, go on these holds and I was drinking, going in blackouts, and I just got super sloppy. I was telling a couple people the other day about like, there's situations I'd put myself in that were horrible, where I'd wake up the next morning not knowing who I was with, things like that. Of course, that's bad. But then there was just like embarrassing stuff that was going on. And so here I am, I'm a mom. I'm trying to like hold it together with my son. I'm a stay-at-home mom at this point. I'm not working. I wasn't for years. And like, doing the normal like day-to-day stuff with my son, PTA mom, getting him to school, doing all those things. And then I would like rage at night. And so like one night, for example, my friend, it was her 30th birthday party and she had all her family over, like well-to-do people, big, beautiful house, hot tub in the back, my son's there with her kids, everybody. And we started drinking and we were taking tons of Xanax and I went into a blackout and I stripped down naked.
Nice.
At her house.
Yes.
Because that was my thing. Take off my clothes.
Sure.
So that was always my thing. Like, oh, get naked.
Yeah, right.
And so
now's the time.
And so here I am. Like, I can only imagine what this looked like at her family, with all her family, running around naked. They were like trying to catch me, I guess, for like a really long time.
Oh, so great.
I jumped. It gets even better. I jumped in the hot tub at one point and tried to make out with her mom.
Nice.
Sounds about right.
Horrible.
Was she cheering you on at least? Like,
no.
It's my 30th birthday.
No, she was like mortified.
He was like, what
a bummer.
Mortified. And that day I have this gnarly scar, almost cut my finger completely off. Like just crazy, right? And so it was just bad. So I started just getting super sloppy. Me and my husband at the time, like we were off and on, things weren't good. Like our relationship was one of those where we would party together and then he would stop after the weekend and I wouldn't. And then it would be this whole thing of like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Just stop. Like, what's your problem? Mm-hmm. Like, what are you doing? Like, not understanding addiction at all. He never tried to help me get into treatment or like, hey, there's a problem here. It was always just, what the fuck's wrong with you? Just stop. And it was like super toxic, abusive, it was not a healthy relationship in any way, shape, or form. And I didn't really see that until I got sober. Sure. Like really sober, like, holy shit, that was a really bad relationship. So I had moved to San Marcos. This is where it ends. This is where it ends up.
Beautiful.
So I'm
San Diego.
down in San Marcos, moved out there with my son, living with this guy. My son now is like 7 or 8, and the drinking was just like so out of control. And I'll never forget it. I was sitting in the bedroom, and here we go back to the gun thing. I had a gun in one hand, and it was like this spiritual moment where I felt like, okay, this is the gun in this hand, and this is my life in the other hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to choose right now. And if I don't choose life, I'm going to fucking die, like right now.
Peace and evil.
That's it. Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. And so I told, the person I was with at the time, bless his heart, Angel. I said, hey, I need to get help. And for so long, and this is a big part of like what I preach to people, is that I looked at asking for help as a weakness. You should be strong. What's wrong with you? You can do this. It's so fucking weak. You have to ask for help. Oh my God, you're going to have to talk to somebody about this. And what I didn't realize that it was like the strongest thing that I could do. It was the bravest, most courageous thing that I could do, and anyone can do, is to ask for help. And so once I asked for help, it was like 1,000 pounds was just released off of me. And he got me into treatment, helped me get into treatment. And the next day I was going to treatment for real this time in Orange County. And so I went through detox, gnarly, horrible, but just what I needed. And once I got into residential, like I knew in that moment, without a shadow of a doubt, that I needed to walk away from my past life as I knew it, everybody in that life, and completely be reborn into somebody else. And what I needed to be reborn into was somebody that could take all the horrible things, all the trauma, all the negativity, everything that had happened, and turn it into something positive and help others. I just knew, like, God put it on my heart that I needed to help other people. And so that's what I did. So I went back to school, got my KDAC, which is like the degree you get to work in drug and alcohol, and became a case manager right out the gate, which I don't suggest anyone doing. I was like 6 months sober. I started working as a case manager. I was an intern, and they hired me right on as a case manager. And so here I am, a sick person helping sick people. Not the best situation, but
I was a BHT at 90 days.
Okay, so you understand.
Oh my God, I got fired.
Yeah,
Almost rolled a van, and
yeah,
then
most people do that right out of
They
recovery.
do, and it's like, for me, I worked an AA program, solid for like the first year or two. I'm not a big AA person at this point in my life. Nothing against it. I think it's great. I think everybody could benefit from doing the steps, but it's just not what I do anymore. But yeah, so I tried to work an AA program. I did a little bit of therapy, stuff like that, but I didn't dig deep at all. And I was still in that victim state of mind, and I was still in like all the behaviors, and I emotionally relapsed like several times within the first like 2-3 years of my recovery because I hadn't done the work. And so in 2019, I gnarly emotionally relapsed. I got a gun. Here we go, back to the gun thing. My get down, and went on a high-speed chase. And I didn't do this like ever in my addiction. And I did this in recovery because I was just so fucked off, like, because I hadn't done the work.
Our addiction gets progressively worse.
It does.
Like that's you never done. We never do the things that we did in the past, but it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
Worse. We dig. We find a new
dig.
solution.
Yeah.
Or shit.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So here I am on this high-speed chase through Orange County, and end up
Clean and sober.
clean and sober. Yep. And end up getting stopped. Well, I end up finally pulling over. Finally. It went on for like 45 minutes. At first, there was like a ton of cops following me, helicopter, all of that. And then my ex-husband got on the phone with like whoever it was that was, I don't know. He got on the phone with somebody, and he was saying like, hey, she's not a bad person. She's not dangerous. She's having like a mental breakdown. Don't shoot her.
Don't shoot my wife.
Don't fucking shoot her,
Yeah.
you know?
She
And,
may have a gun.
She made
Allegedly.
allegedly, yeah. And so it was crazy. I finally pulled over. At this point, it's unmarked cars following behind me, going through red light, like it's just all of it. And I'm stopped and I'm holding the gun and they're surrounding me at this point. And I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? You want to get out and go out in a blaze of glory? Like, what do you want to do? And they're like, roll down the window, drop the gun outside the car, roll down the window, drop the gun outside the car. And finally, that's what I did. And they were super cool, you know, thank God. Like, I should have been taken straight to jail. First of all, the gun wasn't mine. It was my soon-to-be ex-husband's gun. And they took me to the hospital for an evaluation. And I stayed one night, and then they let me go. And that was it. Like, no charges were brought onto me. And I was like, wow, I got it.
I would have still been in there off that motherfucking case. That was when? In 2017?
2019.
Yeah, I would have still been in there. I would have still been fighting my
2019, you already got hemmed up by one.
case all day. All day. Allegedly.
True.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I would have been done.
It was crazy. And so after that, I'm like, you know what? I really need to like start doing the work. And so I did. And I like to say it was like after 5 years, then I really started to understand who I was, and turning the victim into a survivor. Like, that was a game changer, because so many people get stuck in that victim state of mind. It's comfortable there. You don't have to forgive. You don't have to look at your own shit. I'm a fucking victim. You know, these horrible things happened to me. And that was a game changer. So I was able to, you know, find forgiveness and realize like what that really looked like. Cause for so long I was like, I'm not forgiving these people for what they did to me. Like, why would I do that? You know, I didn't ask for any of that. But I was able to turn it over to my higher power as I see it. Right. And I was able to like release that and be like, you know what, I'm not going to let them have this control over me, because I didn't realize how much control they still had over me, holding on to all that shit. And so I let it go. You know, I let it go, and I forgave. And I forgave myself, which is so hard to do. You know, it's easier, well, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, to forgive others than it was for me to forgive myself. You know, and the guilt and shame and being a mom and the things that I had, you know, exposed my son to, and just the life that I had been leading, and just my past, you know, I hadn't made peace with that and everything I had done, and super, super shameful, you know, and being able to do the work and find forgiveness for myself, to be gentle on myself, you know, and to be able to look at all of this as my journey, you know, and that all of it needed to happen, good, bad, and different, for me to get to where I needed to be, you know, because without it, I wouldn't be sitting here today, you know. So I try to always look at that, like, no matter what's going on in my life, you know, if something tragic happens, if I'm going through something in a relationship, I'm like, okay, what's the lesson? You know, how can I grow through this? And this needs to happen because it's going to take me to the next point in my life. So really doing that work. And then, you know, truly stepping into purpose. You know, I had worked in the clinical space for years, case manager, life coach. I had, you know, sober livings, did that. And then I was working, doing business development for a treatment center for several years. And I was like, okay, this is great, but I don't feel like I'm living a truly purposeful life. And I always preach that to clients and people that are newly sober. I'm like, okay, it's one thing to get sober, like, great, that's an accomplishment. But unless you find something that drives you, that you're passionate about, that's purposeful work, that's giving back, like, you're going to be fucking miserable. And chances are you're going to relapse, because you can't just go and just keep doing the same shit. Like, you need to find that thing for you. And it could be in anything. It could be in a hobby. It could be, you know, in a sport, something creative, whatever it is, but like, find that thing. And so for me, truly being my authentic self and recovering out loud and being in my truth has been a game changer. Yeah.
the business development side of it, especially at that point in time, it was gnarly. Like, because I got, well, we were speaking before, like I got clean in 2016, and I've been in the car business for like 9 years. So sales was my game, and I found out what people were doing to get people into treatment. I was like,
Oh yeah.
I want in
Brokers?
on body brokers. Yeah, I want in on that. And I had a major moral deficiency. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'll buy them insurance. I got some cash. Like, what's up? And everybody that I knew that was doing it was like, you don't want in on this. It is not going to end well.
Yeah.
And none of them would give me a job.
And it's still going down.
Yeah. And
it's still going down.
all the people that I knew that are doing it are involved in cases.
Yeah. It's gnarly for sure.
Thank you for sparing me.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's, I'd never worked in sales before. And on one hand, it's like, okay, I'm helping people get into treatment. I'm meeting with treatment centers and things like that. But it wasn't really what I wanted to do. You know, I started going online on Facebook like 3-4 years ago with a recovery page. And I kind of caught fire with that. And I'm like, I love this, you know, because I had done all this stuff like acting wise, modeling in my past. And it never became what I wanted it to be because I went down the adult path, right? And I'm like, okay, well, now I'm going to do it in recovery, and I'm going to do it for the right reasons. And so now it's actually going to fucking work, you know, because it's doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I've done. And so I've got, you know, my Recover Out Loud movement, and then the Jenny Sober Lifestyle, where, you know, I bring people on and do podcasts, and I do Recover Out Loud meetups, and I do charity events and all that fun stuff to show people like, hey, there's a community out here. We need to stay connected. You can have fun like that. When I got sober, I was like, I'm never going to have fun again. You know, I don't know what I'm going to do. How am I going to meet people? And so I like to try to create a space where people feel comfortable, you know, and that, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. Because I started just taking that mentality, like the why not me mentality. Like for so long, I had the mentality of, oh, well, that's cool for them. You know, awesome. Like, but I'm not them. And, you know, I'm not going to have those things. I'm not going to be able to do that. And when I had that mind shift of, well, why not me? You know, like the only thing that's between me and what I want to do is fear. And if I can like step through that fear, I can do anything. Sobriety is a superpower, and we're given this second opportunity at life. Like we should all be dead right now. Let's be real. I've overdosed several times. Like we should not be here. So we're here for a reason. And so I always try to like stay motivated in that space and do as much as I can to live in that space, help others, be consistent, you know, get up, suit up, show up every day.
Yeah.
You know, go to bed and put my head down on the pillow and know that I did my best. Like it's such a good feeling.
How long have you been doing the podcast?
I had a podcast before, but it wasn't mine for 3.5 years. And now I just ventured off. That was the big leap of faith I took. So I've only been doing my own podcast for just over a month.
Really?
Are
you serious?
Yeah.
You found her a month ago?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep.
Holy shit. Fucking bring that in.
Yeah.
Fucking killing it.
Yeah.
It looks really good. We talked
Thanks.
about this before, but like, wow, I thought you'd been doing it for at least a year.
I mean, it looked like it was a long process.
Yeah.
When you said that before the show, I said, what?
Yeah. I go all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I go all in. I
Clearly.
will not fail. I want to make a really good impression. You know what I mean? And like first impressions are like so important to me. And so I'm like, I'm go big or go home.
What was your first impression of us?
You guys are amazing. Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. I needed that
Thanks.
today.
Yeah.
No, for sure you are.
Yeah.
Just doing what you're doing. I mean, this is not easy.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people want to try like podcasting, like, oh, I'm going to do that. It's not easy. It's mentally exhausting.
It is.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it truly is. It takes a lot out of us, and it's hard. You have to be vulnerable. Being
Well, having
vulnerable
guests
is-
like you, it makes our job a lot easier too. Trust and believe that.
so you're not like having to ask questions and pull it out of people the
Yeah,
whole
just
time.
like extracting blood from
Yeah,
a
yeah.
rock.
Yeah. No, I know how that
Just
goes.
sit there and like, okay, well, I guess this is where we're gonna wrap this up now. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
So now your son is in his teenage years?
He's 15.
How's that going?
Amazing. And it wasn't always amazing. So, and this is what I love to tell, you know, moms and dads out there that are struggling, you know, to get their children back. It can happen. And so for me, like me and him, even though it was, you know, unhealthy at times, we're together every day for the first like 8 years of his life. And when I went to treatment and then I did a year of therapy with my ex-husband after I got out of treatment, I was like, all right, I'm going to give this a fair chance. I'm going to do like a solid year and see if we can work this out. Like at this point, I've known him for like 17 years. I'm like, let's try to make this work. And by the end of the year, it was like, run.
Yeah.
Like
We're
for
done
real,
here.
you know, this is not ever going to work. You're going to end up relapsing. This is super unhealthy. And so I left, and I left thinking that I was doing the selfless thing by letting my son stay at the family home, stay in the same school, and that he could stay with me, you know, and we would just work this out together as a family. Did not go down that way. And I started from scratch. And so another thing that I like to talk about is like humbling yourself, which for me, like coming from where I came from, making what I made, living how I lived, to then humbling myself to renting a room in someone's house, giving away 80% of my belongings because I had nowhere to put them, starting over, making $16 an hour when I first started working in treatment. Like it was such a humbling experience. It was excruciating, and but everything I needed, because it taught me what's important and what's not, and filling that void doesn't work
Well, you're
with
finally
with
able
all
to,
that stuff.
You're finally able to appreciate things too. Probably.
Yeah, appreciate things
that's,
for
that's
sure.
my story.
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to leave a long-term relationship like that too. That was almost, if not harder, leaving that than stopping drugs. You know, people that are in these situations, they stay because of the kids. They stay because they're just used to it. It's comfortable. A lot of people stay because of financial reasons.
Security.
And you get stuck and you're miserable. And you can do it. You just have to be willing to do whatever it takes. Have the willingness, surrender, just like getting off the drugs and alcohol, leaving situations, starting off new. You know, that's what I did. But, you know, in doing that, my ex used that to keep my son from me. And then I had to go through a very lengthy court process of 2.5 years. The family law court system needs to change. I want to actually start advocating on this one way or another, because it is fucked. Like, you're guilty until proven innocent. And because he was with his dad when all of this started, whoever the child is with when all this starts, when you don't have a custody agreement or anything, it starts with that parent just having the child until you can prove, okay, I can have my child, which is just crazy to think that that's how it is. But in any case, that's how it is. So, you know, he said, oh, she's still on drugs. You know, she's a hooker. She's this. She hangs out with gangbangers. All this stuff. None of it's true, you know. But I had to prove myself. And it takes so long, and it's so expensive. And that's the other thing. Like, if you don't have the financial means, thankfully I had somebody in my life at that time that funded it. But at the end, it was over $75,000. And so what do people do? What do moms and dads do that are fighting for their children that don't have the money? They lose their fucking kids.
Yeah, they give up.
They give up.
They have to.
Yeah. And so it came to a
They
point, I had like one of the top family attorneys that was $450 an hour.
Oh, God,
my
what
son,
an industry.
My son, exactly. My son had a court-appointed attorney that I had to pay for. I had a reunification therapist, a personal therapist that was the top in the courts. And, of course, none of these take insurance. So they're all cash pay, of course.
Yeah, of course. I was about to say, of
Privatized
Of course.
health
Yeah,
insurance.
sure.
All these
Yeah, we got it. No problem.
evaluations, all these things
Yeah.
that needed to happen. And I had to fight like hell. And, you know, it was dark at times, very, very dark. And I thought, I'm never going to get my son back, or I'm just going to have to give up and have him find me when he gets older. And I said, no, I'm not. I can't give up. This is my son. You know, I'm going to stay consistent. And I just stayed consistent. And my actions, like love is an action. And I showed every single day, even though it was extreme parental alienation, which means he was brainwashing my son to believe I'm this horrible person. Brainwashed him essentially, even with memories, you know, of the way life was and wasn't. And it took a very long time, but here we are. My son is 15. He lives with me full time.
Nice.
That's right.
He sees his dad on occasion, and love wins because
Yeah.
I showed over consistency and through my actions who I am and what I can do and what I can provide for him. And time and patience, you know, it really makes all the difference. And now he's at an age where he's seeing things, starting to see things for what they are. And as he gets older, he will more and more. And I will never be that parent. And I just encourage parents not to do this. Don't bash the other parent.
Yeah.
Like, even though I've been bashed beyond recognition, right? I will always remain to him that his dad is his superhero, right? Let him think that.
Yeah.
And as he gets older, he'll see the truth, but it's not going to come from me. You know
I can
what
tell
I
you
mean?
from firsthand experience that is exactly what happens. I come from a broken home, and my mom never bashed my dad, and he was a fucking piece.
Yeah.
And every time I would go see him, all he ever had to say was, your mom's putting me in jail for child support, and your mom's
Yeah.
a bitch, your mom's this, your mom's that. And I treated my mom very fucking poorly through my teenage years.
Yep.
And then when I became an adult,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to look back and realize what a fucking dickhead he was,
Yeah.
and how amazing my mom was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for that. Because
Yeah.
that's, I have faith that that's exactly what will happen. And our relationship has gotten so much better, even just over the last couple of years. And now, yeah, he's with me, and I'm pretty much a single mom. I take care of him 100% financially. I don't even ask him for anything. I'm like, it's cool.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah,
You know,
you
I'm
have
at a
it.
position in my life where I can just take care of him all on my own, and it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is possible.
Have you had any? 15 is a little early. Well, not necessarily, but have you had any, like, as an addict or being in recovery, having to deal with him facing soon to be grown man shit?
Oh yeah. I mean, he's already been experimenting. He, you know, it's so scary because of with fentanyl now. Like, fentanyl is literally in everything.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he's smoked like weed pens and things like that. And his name's Ryder, and he doesn't mind that I disclose this stuff. And I'm like, Ryder, like, it's in everything. Like, there is no using drugs recreationally anymore. Like, those days have come and gone, and they are far fucking behind us. So it's like, you go out and use something recreationally one time, you can be dead. And so, you know, I'm very open and honest about my life. He knows everything. And so he's dabbled a little bit here and there, but he doesn't really get involved in all that stuff.
I'm about to be. I have two 12-year-olds. So
Okay.
my lady has a 12-year-old, and then I have a 12-year-old
Oh, wow.
daughter.
Yeah.
So we have a 12-year-old boy and a 12-year-old daughter, and they're literally 2 weeks apart in October. And
Holy
it's like,
smokes.
and
Yeah.
I can just tell the route he's going down that I'm gonna have to start crossing that bridge. And like, I vape, and I always have to like reinforce this. Like, dude, I smoked cigarettes from 13 until I picked this up, and it is a death sentence.
Yeah.
You need to stay away from these. They're fucking horrible. I
And
know
you
all
should
the.
just stop then too.
Yeah, you should.
I'm a work in progress.
I mean, that's
I'm a work in
that's
progress.
Lead
simple.
by example.
Damn,
I
y'all.
mean, it's simple.
I'm trying to drive a point home.
Yeah, no, I got.
All right,
We
no,
we
what
get
better
it,
way
we
to
get
drive
it.
the
but
point
that
home
point
than
is not
quitting?
really. Yeah, the part that
Yeah.
point is not really.
But I'm getting ready to have to cross those bridges.
Yeah.
and I'm fucking. That's why I wanted to bring that up. And more importantly, if he's hitting those weed pens, the weed they have today is not the weed that we had.
Oh
in
my
our
God,
day.
no.
No.
It's totally different.
And
Some
it-
fucking fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done a
super
lot of
shit.
drugs, but that weed fest me fucked up.
I cannot stand
Ugh.
weed. I'm not.
horrible.
I was never really into it.
I would
Maybe when
just
I was
do
like
it.
really young.
I would just do it, and it would cause me righteous anxiety,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'd be stuck. And I'm like, why do I do this? And
I'm
then
anxious right now thinking about
Yeah,
it.
I know, right?
you sober up, and you're like, all right, let's smoke another blunt. Like, why?
Yeah. I'd be in the closet with a box of cereal for like 4 hours. That would be it.
Do you,
Cinnamon toast
you
crunch.
guys hear that? Yeah, that's my heart. You guys
Yeah,
hear my
yeah.
heart? Yeah, I could feel me, touch me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wild.
that's crazy. We're all parents here at this table.
Amazing.
Rafa has 2 girls.
Nice.
Dustin has 2 kids.
Yeah.
I have a fucking gaggle.
And are you in recovery too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, all of
awesome.
us. That's how this
Okay.
all started. So
Cool.
I relapsed, and I came back in
Mhm.
January, and we started a clothing brand.
In
Very
March.
cool.
Yeah, I will. Let me tell the whole story.
Yeah.
I worked here
Okay.
at this dealership, and I got fired 2 weeks before COVID, and they didn't want to see me fucking relapse. And
Yeah.
we were
He
spitballing
was,
the
a,
idea.
he was a real green newcomer.
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, and then I think we started the clothing brand, and then everything went to lockdown, and it was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then
Well, it was fun. Like writing,
Yeah.
you know, like just writing in general was just fun, and like having a clothing brand, like you know, all the homies are wearing and stuff like that when you hit the road
Yeah.
and stuff. Like, I just thought that was dope, you know.
Yeah,
And plus,
super
like,
cool.
because, like, you don't really see anybody in recovery when the whole COVID thing was happening.
Mhm.
So, like, being able to jump on a motorcycle and see some of your homies and stuff like that was dope,
For sure.
you know. So,
I
like,
love that.
I don't know. It was just something I just kept, like, I was sitting down and I was just like, damn, it would be dope to do something. And then I fucking bounced it off a graph. And then Dustin was like, fuck this shit. We're doing this shit right fucking now.
Because these guys were talking about it for too long. I'm like, let's
Yeah.
just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how I am. I'm like, let's just do it.
And I was
Stop
like,
talking
all right.
about it.
It was a lot of great talk.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, because I mean, I saw the vision and all that, and I'm like, you know what? We know I know a few people that own clothing brands that are really successful, and I'm like, we can fucking do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it comes down to not wanting to wear other people's stuff too. You want to wear your own things.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
1000%.
Yeah. Eventually, hopefully, I'll have a little something going too.
Just do it.
Why not? Yeah.
We know a
just
screen
do
printer.
it. Okay. Good to
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
We screen print.
so
Okay.
the thing about it is too, it's like you know, in recovery, you can literally do whatever you want because, like you were saying earlier,
Right.
we reinvent ourselves.
Yep.
I know I did, and I still do on a daily basis because
Yeah.
I'm changing.
Right.
If you're not-
Always.
if you're not changing,
Yeah.
then you're just going to stay stagnant, and eventually you will relapse
Yep.
too. And I say that to people all the time. You have to take a leap of faith and just try something different.
Yep.
Because if, you know, 1 year Dustin was saying, hey, you're going to have a podcast, you're going to be on social media, and you're going to sell shirts, I would have been like, you're fucking high.
Yeah.
That's not how it's, that, you know,
Yeah.
I wanted a simple life, but then as I'm changing, growing, I didn't really want a simple life.
Yeah.
And I liked being around people. Like when I'm
Yeah.
by myself, that's when my head starts to really
Yeah.
start to
Me too.
get nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So having this, I mean, the more work that I put on myself, and I know these guys can attest to it too, the better off we are
Yeah.
because we're staying vigilant, we're staying working.
Yeah. Agreed.
You know, so
Yeah.
what you're doing right now, and
Yeah.
you're on, you're
Yeah.
always on.
I'm always on. This is 24/7 thing.
Yeah.
And like, I started doing some things where I like put out a thing on Instagram about like a morning text blast with people, you know? So I do that. Like I wake up at 6:00 in the morning, I'm sending out a text message to all these people that want to have like a positive start to their day. And just from that, a couple of people have gotten sober, you know? And so like, I see these things working and like doing the different events and just recovering out loud, like people just reaching out like nonstop. Like I could pull up my phone right now and there'd be just messages from people like, hey, I'm struggling. Can you know, what did you
What you
do?
got?
Or what do you know? And that's what it's all about. And like that,
Sure.
I tell every person, like, thank you for helping me stay sober today, because every one of those things helps me stay sober and become the best version of myself.
Right.
And I think it's great, like to each their own for people that just want to do like, you know, the typical 9 to 5 and they're fine and that's just their life. But I refuse to settle, have a regret or say what if for anything in my life. Like I have so much I want to accomplish.
Huh, interesting.
Maybe you say the same stuff?
Well, I mean,
You guys-
our second T-shirt was basically what you just said.
Really?
Yeah.
See?
Never
Great
settle, never
minds.
quit.
Never
All-
settle,
all or
never
nothing.
quit.
Yeah.
All or nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only way I'll live my life.
Right.
It's just, I think we're born that way. Some of us are born very different with that mentality, but it just got like repressed with the addiction. And now it's like,
Right,
all right,
right.
let's fucking go. Right?
Hey.
I like to say.
And on that note,
I like to say we damaged our spirit. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
now it's like we're getting recovery, and our spirit just keeps coming. And
That's
just like
right.
you know, you started for you when you were at 3. So I'm
Mhm.
sure that in your process, you've had a lot of immature. Let me speak for myself. I know
Yeah.
I had a lot of immature things because when I first was damaged too, it was at a very young age. So I
Mhm.
didn't know how to be mature or
Yeah.
act right. It took me until like 34 when I got cleaned. Actually, probably later than that because I know I was a real piece of shit at like 1 to 2 years too. So, but you know, it takes some time.
Yeah, it does.
But let me ask you something. So when you say you're doing the work, what type of work are you doing?
The work on myself, you
Yeah.
mean? So
You still do 12-step?
I don't do 12-step. No. You know, I have a spiritual program that works for me. I'll
Sure.
go to meetings like once in a while, if someone like asks me to go. But you know, I have a routine and that's what I do. Like I wake up, you know, I do my praying, my spiritual work. I might do a little reading. I always start my morning in my gratitude. So like things I'm grateful for, affirmations, things like that. I always tell people that are in early recovery or even struggling, and I thought this was like so dumb when I first got sober, but it's so valuable, the affirmations. I would say the same thing that I was struggling with as an affirmation until it felt comfortable doing it. So let's just say I am worthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the mirror, I am worthy, like really looking at myself saying that. And we know if we're being like true to ourselves, like if we're feeling like, oh, this is dumb or whatever, or this is uncomfortable, or oh, there's like a hesitation, you know, a reservation, whatever it is. And so sometimes I would like say the same affirmation for like 6 months until I got it, until I'm like, all right, this sticks. Because I think anything like that, like when you're working on yourself, the consistency of it. And then from there, you know, I get into my day. I'll respond to people, be of service, stuff like that, which so helps me in my life. And then I'm like really engaged in like things that I like to do that, you know, that just make me feel good. The self-care, the balance, like having balance in my life is super important. Taking time for myself, you know, getting down to the beach. I love going to the beach. Just doing creative things, you know, keeping myself aligned with my vision at all times, aligning myself with the right people. Like, don't you guys find that when you're in alignment with your life and your true calling, then the people start to come into your life and those promises come true and people start aligning with you? Like, I've seen that. Manifestation is like a huge thing for me. So I do the 3-6-9 rule. I don't know if you guys have heard of this.
The
Or
little
like-
John thing.
Where you're like manifesting something into your life. Not that. But
I
like,
would like to hear the 369 rule.
it's like a journaling exercise where, you know, if there's something that you're trying to manifest into your life, you visualize it and you write it down 3 times in the morning. You write it down and visualize it 6 times in the middle of the day, and you do it 9 times at night. And you do those for like 21 days at a time. And there's like, you can watch YouTube videos on that. Like, if people like swear by this stuff. So I do a lot of stuff like that. Just, you know, truly being like my authentic self and being present. It just works wonders for me in my recovery.
That's fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause everything you're saying, I'm like, yes,
Yes.
more of that. 'Cause that's like honestly how a lot of this has happened for LFG is just we fucking said it out loud, and his wife is really into fucking saying shit out loud.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
And you have to truly, truly believe in yourself and what you're doing. If you want anyone else to believe it, you have to truly believe it. You cannot be thinking like, fuck, I don't know if this is going to work. Of course, there's like that little bit of healthy fear, but you have to believe it. So I spend a lot of time like believing in myself and my mission.
I would say you're absolutely crushing it.
And it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And-
definitely working.
And it can be for anything in anyone's life.
Yeah.
You know, like you want to be the best therapist, you want to be the best motorcycle, whatever it is, you know, like it's all possible.
Right.
And it starts with believing in yourself, being consistent, showing up. They say that like 95% of it is just show up.
Right.
Every day, show up for yourself.
Yeah.
Just like what you did today.
Just
Driving
like-
from OC.
just
Come
like
on.
this.
Yeah, come on. I mean, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I had to do that myself, morning affirmations in the mirror, and half the time I was like, fuck you, and walk away, but I kept
Yeah.
on doing it, so it's like sponsee's mind, like, did you pray today? No, cool, get on that.
Yeah.
Go look at yourself in the mirror for the next 10 days and do some morning affirmations to
Mhm.
yourself till you start believing it.
Yeah.
Exact same thing,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, you have to believe in what you're saying.
You have to.
I mean, even if you don't, you eventually you will. If
You
keep
will.
doing it.
Yeah, you will if you keep doing it. Yeah.
But there's a lot of days where I was like looking at that mirror and I'm like,
Fuck you, bro.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it took me 5
Yeah.
years of recovery to really feel like I was getting it. 5 years. So
That's why they said the head pops.
you got to be patient. Yeah. It's a journey. This is not like, okay, now I'm sober and now I did the 12 steps and now I've got a year. Oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you're never good.
Shit, I got 9 years and still working on shit.
Yeah, right? Just more and more things come up.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of people don't realize that you remove the drugs and alcohol and then you're still left with an addict. Like
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I agree with what you said. Like I had the ism long before
Oh,
I ever
yeah.
touched drugs.
For
And
sure.
I just got a fucked up brain, and I
Yeah.
got to work on it all the time.
Everywhere you go, there you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud to tell everybody on the podcast I dropped my first step.
Wow. Good job.
Nice.
It's been a long thing. I've done the 1, 2, 3 shuffle like 10 times.
Got it. Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, I guess there's stuff on my 4-step that I just don't want to write about.
Yeah.
Or whatever it
the
is.
4-step's so easy too.
Literally everybody's saying that too. So
Wait, just
We're
wait till
working
you get to your
steps.
6th step, bro.
I'm in a consistent step study every week.
Good
Going
job.
to a meeting.
Nice.
Hey.
Good job. I know his friend Josh got clean, and so Graf is really stepping it up because old boy over here is smoking him
Yeah.
Uh
in
oh.
So-
his recovery.
Healthy competition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He got
very.
clean in January.
Okay.
And like he's got a story of his own.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Right
he's
on.
fucking crushing it. But he's also like on his 6th step.
Oh.
And here I am with multiple years, and I'm just fucking around.
Well, it's
Just white
different for
knuckling it.
everybody.
Tightest grip in the game, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It is healthy competitions are great because my friends that I started recovery with, it's the same thing. Push. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like even when it comes to like work,
Yeah.
we just pushed one another to get to where we're at.
You have to.
It's fucking bizarre.
Yeah. That's like my son, at his old school, he was like, I'm the biggest, the strongest, and the smartest, right? He's 15, he's 6'4".
God damn.
He looks and sounds like a man. It's crazy. Like
Football?
No, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't really want to play sports. He's a more like loves his guitar and
Oh,
he's
we love that
artistic
too.
Yeah, right.
yeah. But I'm like, but Ryder, don't you want to be in situations where like people are better than you and they're challenging you?
Mm.
Like stick with the winners, because if you're always thinking you're the best at something, how are you going to grow? Like
Right.
you have to be around other people that are better than you in different ways, right? Like Emily over here, she's teaching me so much, about social media and different things. Like I need people around me always that I can like learn from and grab from. And, we all should be doing that. We never want to be the best. There's got to be
Room to grow.
room to grow.
Well, so what's next for you?
What's next for me is, I've just started down this road. So like I've got a lot going on. I've got my PR firm that's starting to push me out there. So hopefully getting out there, doing some more stuff in the media, out there in the recovery world, just podcasting a lot, doing the Recover Out Loud. And then, it's being announced tomorrow, but I guess I can say it on here. This isn't live, right?
No.
Okay, so I'm starting at an outpatient treatment center. So it's JSL Recovery. It's a done deal. This isn't like some pipe dream. So I'm just getting ready to do some construction on the building and start that. So it's going to be really cool. I've worked in the treatment space for many years, but this place is going to be different. It's going to be like a community center. I'm going to have like a big Recover Out Loud meeting there once a week. I'm going to do support groups there. I'm going to open it up for people to come in, do like Narcan trainings, educational stuff, and then have like a real,
That's big.
this really cool outpatient center that's going to be small, big on community, on culture. Anybody that's been sex trafficked, I'm going to allow them to come there for free. So it's like a whole movement that I'm doing. I'll have my podcast studio there. We're actually taking it and moving the whole thing there.
Oh boy.
But it's okay. Chuck, my podcast guy, I love you.
Yeah.
He already knows. So even down to the signatures, because I have a wall where everyone signs the wall. When you guys come up, you'll see that.
What?
Yeah, it's really, you guys should do that here.
I think
It's a really cool
I
thing.
might get him to wrap that white, and then we can write on
But
it.
he's going to take a picture, and then I guess he can
I
like digitally like put it at the new
Reprint
place.
it,
And
yeah.
Yeah, I think you have a board, right?
a
Is
board.
that where people are signing?
I mean, it's a wall.
Oh, so they're signing the actual wall.
They're signing that it's a wrapped wall.
Got it. So you're
All
gonna take
walls
that
are
out.
wrapped.
Nice.
He's going to take a picture of it and then digitally put it on the new wrap.
Yep.
Got it.
Rewrap the wall
Rewrap
with
it.
the original
Yeah.
signatures.
So
Got
so
it.
this outpatient is going to be the first of many, because I refuse to let it be anything but that. And yeah. So
Are you doing a
that's-
grand opening?
I'll be doing a grand opening. Probably won't be for a good, if I'm being realistic, like 60 days, 45 to 60 days. But yeah, you guys will have to come
Yeah,
out and
I'll
I was gonna
represent.
say-
let us know.
Yeah.
We'll bring a squad of people up.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be so rad.
Well, it's locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been
Done.
doing this for years with working in treatment, and like I've worked at places where I've literally walked out and said, fuck you guys, and like thrown my hands up in the air because it's so fucked. Like
Yeah.
treatment, unfortunately, is fucked in a lot of ways at
It's
a lot of
become a
different
business.
places. It's become just totally business, money driven. And for me, like, I chase the purpose and the money comes.
Sure.
And so with this, like, I'm chasing the purpose, and I know what I want to do, and I know how I want to help people, and I know how I'm going to make it different, and success will come with that, you know, but that's not what I'm leading with. So you got to check it out, because it'll be very different than what people are doing.
I think some of the stuff you were talking about is pretty dope. Like the Narcan training, I don't think there's that many places out here that is doing that.
No.
You know, and like, honestly, it'll be something that like, that'll help people. One of the things too that I was looking into, was, there's a class out here that they actually show you like how you could tell if somebody is like ODing off of fentanyl.
Yeah. So we'll be doing all of that. Look, I'm going to be doing the signs that you look for.
Right.
And the actual Narcan training. I'm going to do it once a week. I have an endless supply of Narcan from End Overdose.
Right.
I probably have like 500 packs of Narcan sitting in my storage space right now under my stairs.
Damn.
So I'll be doing that. Yeah, exactly.
We got
once
the strips
a week.
too.
Yeah, the fentanyl testing strips.
Yeah.
It's so crazy because, you know, for a long time it was looked at, and it still is at a lot of places, which is just fucked, where it's looked at like, oh, but then it's making it okay if they do drugs. If you're going to give them, like, no, they're going to do them anyways. Like, do we want to save lives?
Right.
Or do we want to live in the 80s? Because, like, that's not going to work.
I wonder if it's the same people that are saying that, right? That are giving syringes, giving tie-offs.
Yeah.
Giving
Harm
fucking-
reduction is
giving fucking pipes.
No, that's
to people.
bullshit.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's fucking wild.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening.
No, it's bullshit.
everywhere.
I stop at the Narcan. Like,
Yeah.
I want to save a life, but I'm not going to support the habit. You know, it's two different things. So, yeah, I'll be doing that there. I'm also going into schools. I'm starting to supply Narcan there. And then one of the other, which I'm going to leave it at this because I've got a lot on my plate, but I really, really, really want to start doing public speaking to be of service in like middle schools and high schools. I think because fentanyl and new drugs are not going away. As much as we would like to be like, fuck, we're going to get these off the street, they're not going away. So what do we need to do, right? We need to create change. We need to have the conversation, and we need to educate. And the education is now starting with kids as young as 10, 11 years old. I mean, you think about how they're getting educated in school. It's by, first of all, it's by like a guidance somebody, I'm not trying to be mean, but somebody that they don't respect or look up to, usually.
One ear out the other.
Right?
Bro,
Yeah, but if
100%.
someone like us walks in there and goes, hey, listen, this is how it is, and this is what I experienced, and I was one of these people, and actually like talk from a real standpoint, like how I do with my son, it actually can make a difference. So that's something that I'm going to start doing, going and speaking at schools locally.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Our homegirl, Clea, she owns a clothing brand called Dollface Club. She's doing a documentary, and she just wrapped her interview. It's called Nobody Plans on Dying.
Nice.
Yeah. So once that comes out, we'll shoot that your way.
Okay.
Yeah, she's fucking rad, and like she dumped her life savings into this doc, so I'm really stoked on it.
She should come on my podcast.
We'll set it up.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll
that'd
set
be
it up.
rad. Yeah, and anybody that you guys want, like, I'm not one of these people. There's a lot of people. People are so competitive.
Yeah.
Right. And there's more than enough to go around for everything that you're doing in life, whether it's a treatment center, whether it's a podcast, whatever it is. Like, I'm more than welcome to more than willing to share the information, share clients or, you know, people that have coming on the show. So anybody that you see on my show or want, just let me know and I'll give them your number or vice versa. No
and
biggie.
if you're worried about somebody taking out of your piece of the pie, you're not doing it right.
Exactly.
You need to zoom out and reevaluate.
Yeah.
We've
It's
helped other
stupid.
brands out. We'll tell you what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a secret.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
But you have to put in the work.
Yeah, exactly.
You
That's the
can't
biggest
just,
thing.
You can't just create an Instagram and be like, well, you know what? Hold on. I'm about to get 10,000 followers. Just wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, fucking, you got to post and you
Yeah.
got to be doing the most.
Yeah.
I mean, this shit is work.
It is work.
This is work.
And you can tell, like, when people, not to talk shit, but when people, like, buy their
Oh, of course.
followers.
We make fun of them all the time.
Yeah, it's
I don't
super
care.
obvious.
I'll make fun of them on air.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
Fucking losers.
But that
Get
doesn't,
with it.
you can't take the shortcuts. You have to
No.
put in the work and actually do the deal, you know,
Everybody
if you
likes
want it to
taking
be
shortcuts.
successful. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think this has been an absolutely incredible episode, Jenny. I really appreciate you making the drive down
Thanks,
here.
you guys. I appreciate it.
Anytime you want to come on, anytime you got something going on, you just reach out to us. We'd love to have you back on.
Right on. Likewise. And you guys will have to come up.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
ready
Make it
to come
happen.
up. And I
Okay.
definitely want to come to your opening event.
Okay.
So please let us know, and we will bring a mob of fucking recovery bikers up there.
That would be amazing. We were
It'll
It
definitely
look like a
doing
scene out of
that.
Sons of Anarchy.
It'd be a big show for you.
Do you
Rod
guys
into
go and
this
like
world.
podcast in different areas? Like, are
Not
you-
yet.
I'm just starting that. I have something that I'm doing next month.
We've
where
been
I'm-
asked, but we just have not.
Yeah. Okay.
We have
So
a
you'll be our first.
We should do it sometime. We could all go out and do something. It'd
Down
be
for
really
it.
cool.
I'm so down.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Always
right.
open to new ideas.
Yeah.
Where can people find you at?
At Jenny's Sober Lifestyle. That's simple.
Boom.
Boom.
Piece
Just
of
like
cake.
that.
Hell yeah.
It's been another episode of the LG 1904 show.
Let's fucking go.
Thanks, guys. Let's fucking go.
Yes, God damn it.